Have you ever imagined finding that the people you trust the most keep secrets that can turn your life upside down? Today, you will face a story where fear, manipulation, and courage collide unbelievably. And believe me, it's just the beginning. Before we dive into this plot, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the bell so you don't miss any details of this surprising story. At first glance, I sounded like a plot common within a family. As the facts advance, secrets disturbers come to light due to recording confidentially performed by the main character. As the pressure grows, it perceives itself launched in a dark challenge of secrets and confrontations, what your husband and your parents are plotting, and what will be the revelation she keeps, too. They call myself Camilla, and until a few months, my routine followed as if would expect from a 25-year-old woman. I finished my graduation and took over the post of supervisor in a commercial company, quite agitated, and then at an armed party. By common colleagues, I met Tiago. It was the kind of person who jumped in the eye, alto de laugh, and a charisma that filled the whole environment, as if only us two we existed there. He came to me with a bottle in hand and a dish with salty in half in the other. Then, "You must be Camilla So Tiago, and I heard say that you are leading that new project in the center," he commented. "If accommodating near me, yes, me," I answered with a smile, trying to enter in his loose mood. "And let me guess, are you the official animator of the parties? Maybe even the hangover mornings?" He laughed and pretended to surrender, clapping. "Then, what attracts you here beyond leaving the party?" "More interesting," insisted, and immediately we felt connection. Tiago was someone easy to speak, and under the apparent degree demonstrated true interest. In what I said, we stayed the rest of the night throwing talk. Outside, passing from employment to favorite series, when the party ended, we exchanged phones, and we agreed to see ourselves soon. In next weeks, we came out several times. Our meetings go from simple cafes to exits, agitated by the city, and although it was always outgoing, carried right provocative trait that fed on discussions we discussed excitedly about politics or cinema, and he smiled when I exaggerated in tone. "Let's go there. Camilla can't say that this is the best movie of the year," he replied, arms raised. "Say I will show you. Why is it wrong, or is it afraid to agree with me at the end?" I replied, with a shoulder pat, and I felt good, wonderfully well. But as they say, if everything is too perfect, life launches a curved ball, and I would never expect that mine came so fast and so strong. Was a Saturday of open sky, of those in which the sun performs at the height and the clouds. If you hide, I would go out to take a walk. With my parents, we were going to have lunch in the brand new seafood restaurant that Mum so much praised all week. Dad followed in the driving, mother in the passenger seat, and I behind, messing on my cell phone without stopping. Camilla drops her cell phone and enjoy the day. "What is amazing?" warned Mom in a tone half a playful scolding. I loosened a laugh and saved the device is fine. "Okay?" I spoke, turning to look at landscape Dad, centralized in a way serene, these young people and their cell phones. Was it in my time? I just looked at the window. Until cattle on the road left, and I leaned between the seats laughing like a child on a family tour. The subject was changing to updates about uncles and the recent fishing of Daddy with his friends. Then this time, "Did you get something bigger than a lambari?" I provoked, poking your stories, usually exaggerated. Wait and see. When I arrive with a huge fish," he replied, throwing a smile for rear view. Mom rolled his eyes and smiled. "Let's see if we have lunch without." He proclaims himself the king of the fishing of state, commented in the middle of the laughs. We were surprised by a horn stroke. The weather seemed to decrease by sea, that a truck has invaded our track, advancing toward us. Daddy grabbed the steering wheel tightly, whitish fingers, while changing the route, holding firmly, shouted it. And it was the last sentence I heard before the crash cover, all the rest. The impact was brutal, a whirlwind of glass breaking and twisted metal. Mine body flew forward and struck with violence. a pain. Spread on the back and everything got dark. The sounds became an echo, distant and muffled when I woke up. Later I heard sirens' voices and I would run tremmy, trying to move to reaching my parents. I called them without answer. The despair invaded me. My breathing fired lady gets me to here. A paramedic appeared in chaos. His voice was the hand that pulled me to the reality. Let's take you out of there. Calm down, he and my parents. Where they? My voice came out weak, almost a blow between the noise. The paramedic said nothing, diverted his eyes, before again stare at me. At that moment, everything stopped. Was as if an icy blade crossed my chest, was missing the air, and my vision clouded. The tears sprouted when you realized the truth so cruel that my parents had broken them. The smallest rapidly removed from the car movement was pure pain, radiating for the whole body, but nothing competed with the deep anguish that consumed me. Sent to the hospital, where the professionals stirred around me with heavy expressions. The news was not good. My column had suffered damage and my legs may never support my weight. The loneliness of being there was almost unbearable, broken only by occasional visits of nurses or doctors. When Tiago arrived with his parents, looked like a normal breath of life amid chaos. "Hi, Camilla," he spoke well low, pulling a chair and sitting my side. His parents came behind, with smiles half forced to Tiago. I responded in a hoarse voice for the lack of use. "It's good to see known faces," he touched the soft and firm hand as you are holding Camila. He tried to break the weight of the situation with a mild tone. Esther, Tiago's mother, advanced a little and forced a smile. "Camila, we're here for what you need to compliment Renato, father of Tiago." "Yes, thank you," I said without knowing what to say. After all, is not daily that everything is lost and still. See the boyfriend's parents acting as if already were his relatives. Renato was a man, corpulent, of imposing posture that usually dominated any environment, but at the hospital it was withdrawn and insecure. "Camilla, we have thought," he said with the trembling voice. "Actually, Tiago has an important question for you, right?" He completed while Tiago squeezed even more my hand, his eyes looking for my Camilla. "Since you is here injured, and only I realized how much I want you in my life," declared him, and my heart accelerated. That was not trivial conversation. Something grande arrived. "I can't imagine following without knowing that you will always be with me," he said, opening a box with a ring of simple but beautiful engagement. I stared at his face without believing. "Tiago, are you serious?" I also asked. Stunned, he confirmed with his head. "Home with me. Camilla, let me take care of." You insisted while his parents watched in silence. Esther joined the hands in a moved air, and Renato agreed with the head, as if something fit. For him there, it looked like a float, played in the middle of my wreck, but also so sudden. Looking at the Tiago's sincere face, what an option it would be, beyond answering that yes, our marriage passed away from what I and my mother we dreamed one day was something very modest, and occurred in the old garden here from home where I grew up. I remained in wheelchair, wearing a dress, simple white, adapted to my new reality. Only a few guests came, just close friends and some relatives. A stark difference of the great event that in the old days, Mom and I planned joke home now. Just mine underwent renovations after the accident, with ramps and support bars for all the sides. Each change reminded me of my limits. The first week served as adaptation. Tiago changed. Here and at first we looked well lived around help in the kitchen, and I was aware of my comfort. I thanked, but also noticed a slight tension in the air. Was too good to be truth. A day I tried to reach a pot in the upper closet. What was complicated for my current situation? Want help, love? Tiago entered the kitchen and nodded, a lot of having to ask him to. Take the object and delivered with a smile. Was thinking in buying some devices that help. In these cases, he has suggested perhaps I muttered without wanting to accumulate more. Memories of my restrictions only subtly. His attitude changed from concerned to be more and more. He was outside justifying with phrases, "Where you were yesterday?" I asked. One night he arrived late with strong smell of drink in clothes. He needed to cool his head. He threw the body on the couch and didn't even take the shoes. Was in front of him in my chair, same time angry and worried. "Tiago, you know that I depend on you here. I need help," launched with the voice. Heavy. He sighed, tired. "Camilla, I can't get locked all the time. It is difficult for me to repay." And with that, the days became weeks until it becomes neglect. He no longer cooked more, left food boxes scattered, didn't even care about playing. Apart from the crowded bathroom of his things hindered my movements one morning. I asked him to take the junk bathroom floor, and he exploded. "I married to be a caregiver," was all that said to my surprise little time. After about 3 months of married, Tiago resigned on employment, communicating the fact as if it were banal. "I need to work now," he said. Drinking coffee with an arrogant expression. "Has enough money than you inherited from your parents." I widened my eyes, feeling my stomach turn. "You intend to live on my heritage? So is that the plan?" I asked, already fearing the answer. He shrugged. "Why not? Is it right?" It wasn't. Just those words that shocked me, but the how he spoke with property, as if I were part of a package unique, and the house and the money also with the time. I saw objects disappear, things that had sentimental value as paintings of my mother and planned old dishes. To be with me initially, I thought that was crazy. After all, I could barely getting home. How would you lose things like that? One afternoon, when Tiago and his parents claimed to be at an event all day, my real best friend today, Paloma, appeared for the weekly visit and asked how I was not very well. I confessed, trying to find a book that disappeared, and unsuccessful. That someone is taking items here. I have proof, but I feel it is not crazy. I also spoke unbeliever. Paloma fired the sign me, helping me to accommodate myself in a way more comfortable. And then, what you want, do about it. I don't know. I thought about installed cameras. I sighed without knowing if it was good exaggeration. I know someone who could put microphones like this. We discovered who is behind it, suggested it, kindly accepted because needed a light in that dark. A few days later, Paloma brought this technician who put disguised microphones. In various corners, I felt in a scene of espionage, thinking that possibly no one would appear. But when I heard the night recordings, I took a shock. Repercussioning the audio, I heard the voice of Tiago clearly. "I think we got a good money with those dishes," he said with coldness. And the voice of his mother, Esther, completed the paintings will also give a good yield if we sell right. Each phrase hurt me. They were taking my things and selling the past my family. "What we will do with Camila?" asked Esther. "Realize that more things are disappearing." Renato, his father, answered in tone practical. "The fact that it gets around wheelchair is already an advantage for we, and when we finally assume everything, we can sell the rest," Tiago, yet completed without hesitation. "Good soon, she. You will be able to react, and then the rest is easy." Stop. The audio tears burned me. Although I was cold inside, not only stole my inheritance, they were arming to reduce me to nothing. I showed the recording to Paloma, and its expression became pure indignation. "We have that taking action," said firm. "They cannot pass unpunished." I agreed, still shocked. "Let's get everything together and take to the police, and also to contact your lawyer." Decided her with conviction, I agreed, feeling anger mingling with relief for finally having evidence on the day. Following the waking, I found that the ramps that allowed me to reach other parts of the house had been removed. I stared at the void at my bedroom door, where before there was a soft slope. Now there was a step impossible to win. "Tiago?" I screamed, waiting for explanations and tremendous inside when he emerged. It seemed slightly worried. "Love ramps were old and dangerous. I found better take it for your safety," said as if it was something harmless. "Tiago, I depend on these ramps as, will I walk around?" "The house now," My voice solved with anger and helpless Camilla. "Do not heat up, we will solve," minimized him without blinking, as if it was just an unimportant detail. "But I care, Tiago. You can't take this kind of decision alone, this house. It is also my protest." I was outraged, countered with that air of impatience. "Look, I just want to prevent you from hurt with this old structure." I realized at that moment that it was not. Be careful, and yes, I could barely leave of the room in a few days. I saw myself completely isolated by whim of his and the parents who acted together. I heard conspiracy whispers for rooms, but never included me one night. Esther came to see me, stamping a smile. Fake. "Camilla, dear, how are you?" "No. Do you like to be so long alone?" Spoke with an exaggerated sympathy. "I'm surviving," I answered dry. "I don't have. A lot of choice without ramps is complicated." She shook her head and gave me some pats in hand. "Just want to protect you. Nothing but that knows that we care with you." It was so absurd that I almost made laugh. They spoke in protection of the same time they left me. As soon as Esther came out, I called Paloma. "They practically imprisoned me here. I don't know how long I have," I said. With the trembling voice on the other side, she responded urgently. "Camilla, we need acting immediately. Is not just theft, is oppression. Even if the ramps were removed, they want you to stay fully dependent on turning off." I stared at the roof of the room, choked by feeling of imprisonment, but also determined had evidence and needed use them in some way the next day. It was a revolution first. I searched for a protection service for person with disability, reporting the dismantling of ramps. My main way of me locomo through the house. They reacted fast, promising to send an inspector in a short time. Then I called my lawyer, Dr. Delgado, and told the whole history. He was outraged and volunteered. "I will go so far this afternoon. I will bring some police officers together and also someone of the accessibility service we will solve." Everything assured me on the phone, and in the afternoon, my room was filled with people. Dr. Delgado, 2 police officers and a representative of assistance to the disabled gathered with Tiago and his parents. The climate was heavy, tense looks. Tiago and Renato looked like paralyzed as bandits caught in blatant when Dr. Delgado announced, "Let's check the whole house. I have this list of goods that belong to the parents of Camilla, and we will see if they are in their proper place." Tiago tried to argue, "This makes sense. Camilla, why she is doing that?" But before I spoke, the Interveo assistance representative first. "We need to deal with removal of the ramps. This seriously violates the Mrs. Camilla mobility rights." Tiago's face was colorless, while the inspector was checking where each ramper was torn up. In the meantime, Dr. Delgado started to check item by inventory item, and soon found Divergence's valuable pieces. Just as I predicted, Esther broke out in exaggerated tears. "Please, Camilla, was not our intention to do harm. We just wanted to make things easier." She trying to justify herself for Rebrati, losing patience to expression of the man of inventory, was each time more serious, was a case of appropriation. Nothing subtle. Renato finally pronounced with the voice, "Swing, we can negotiate. We get excited, but can solve." He proposed nervously. "There is nothing negotiating," I answered cold. "You were taking advantage of me by stealing everything, and I heard the plans that made Dr. Delgado ending the verification signal to police officers based on failures, and collected evidence seems to have material to proceed in court." Commented, and I turned to the police. "I want to file a complaint," I announced firmly, with the recordings that prove the intention to sale of my belongings. The police listened to the audios and were serious afterwards of a moment. One of them went to Tiago, and "Parents are detained under suspicion of theft and extortion," said, and it started to quote your rights, Tiago. He looked at me incredulously, as who sees betrayal, without understanding that he himself had been traitor when Esther were escorted wimped through the corridors, and I felt a relief mixed with pain for everything that had happened. But at least this cycle, the case ended in court, was exhaustive, but continued firm in each session. I wanted to see justice to be done. There I remembered what I went through. I felt angry and also a strange peace to know that the truth was exposed in a particular interval. Tiago wanted to talk to me. I didn't want everything to do, so, sorry, whispered down. I stared at the face that was once synonymous with love. An apology does not erase what you made, Tiago. You dug your own disgrace, I answered bluntly. Tiago and the parents were convicted of theft and fraud. The judge was strict and declared, I hope it will serve as a lesson for anyone that tries to use greed and manipulation to benefit after. This came my reconstruction process. I focused on physiotherapy and got advances that even doctors predicted you. It is strong, Camilla. Nobody expected that evolved so much, praised one of them in the hospital. And it was not just strengthening the body, but also from the mind. I came out home again, reacting friendships and me. I enrolled in a painting class that helped externalize everything on each screen. I met Raphael there. He was humorous, gentle, and had a way to see life that brought me hope again. We approached fast, and soon we were always together. And Camilla, I can say it was destination. Our meeting said in one night as we passed through park. I smiles, feeling a happiness. Real, I haven't been felt for a long time, I think I'll. Believing it is good to have someone who just understand. You know, I understand. Much agreed, he touching my hand carefully. I visited the tomb of my parents and told you about everything that happened. The audience is my rehabilitation, and on Raphael, I miss you, but I'm being either in the body or in emotions, I commented by. Landing flowers on the tombstone, as I left the cemetery, I felt their support like a soft breeze. Me boosting forward, I followed the life, but they would come with me in the heart. If you like this account, give your support to channel, leave your like and comment, and remember to subscribe by activating the notifications to accompany our next stories. A big hug and see you soon.